Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be exploring those little nudges we see everywhere online. You know, those call to action buttons, or CTAs, as the cool kids call them. Now, you've probably clicked on a few of these in your time, but we're going deeper than just, click here and buy now. We want to uncover what really makes them tick. So our source material for this deep dive is an excerpt titled CTA Call to Action, Unvertonnt Guide, and we're going to be dissecting its insights with the help of our expert, of course. So get ready to become a CTA ninja. Let's dive in.
All right, so first things first, what exactly is a CTA? I mean, it seems like a pretty simple question, but maybe there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just about, those big flashy buttons. The source defines a CTA as a digital signpost. So think of it this way. You're scrolling through a website, and then bam, there's the CTA. It could be a button, a link, even just some strategically placed text. But it's all designed to guide you, the user, towards some specific action.
It's like a virtual shepherd kind of herding us online.
Yeah, exactly. And, just like a shepherd leads their flock to greener pastures, a good CTA leads users to that desired outcome, whether it's buying something, signing up for a newsletter, downloading something, or just reading more about a topic.
Okay, so I can see how CTAs could be helpful, not just for those businesses trying to, sell us stuff, but for us users too. It's kind of like those old choose-your-own-adventure books I used to love as a kid, guiding us down a specific path. Except instead of turning to page 37, we're clicking a button or following a link. Speaking of clicks, I've always wondered, do those buy now buttons actually work? Like, do people really just click and buy?
Well, think about it. Have you ever clicked a buy now button?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I always assumed it was after I'd already decided to buy the thing.
Exactly. And that's where the psychology of CTAs comes into play. It's not just about getting you to click. It's about nudging you towards that decision. Our source material actually goes into this. It talks about how effective CTAs use things like scarcity, urgency, even social proof. They play on our natural desires, like not wanting to miss out on a good deal or wanting to be part of a group. It's really a subtle art.
Wow, so there's like a whole psychological strategy going on behind the scenes. It's not just about catchy wording. The Force also mentioned something called mole groupie analyze. Sounds kind of like a spy movie. So that's about knowing your audience inside and out, right?
Yeah, it does sound a bit cloak and dagger, but it's really all about understanding who your target audience is, like what motivates them, what problems they're trying to solve. You can't just throw any old CTA out there and expect it to work. You have to tailor it to the specific context and the user's needs. It's about offering a solution, not just a sales pitch.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like those targeted ads that seem to know exactly what I'm thinking. A little creepy, but effective, I guess.
Yeah.
So understanding your audience is key.
Okay.
But what else makes a CTA truly click-worthy? The source also talks about design principles. So spill the secrets.
Well, it's all about those visual cues that draw us in. The source emphasizes that a CTA shouldn't be just an afterthought, like slapped onto a page at the last minute. Think of it as a crucial part of the design, like the headline or the images.
So it's not just tea about the words, but how they look, too.
Absolutely. Think about those buy now buttons we were talking about earlier. They often use contrasting colors so they pop off the page. You'll see bold fonts, clear and concise language, maybe even a little white space around the button to give it some breathing room and draw your eye to it.
So like those flashing neon signs you see in a busy city, they're designed to cut through all the clutter and grab your attention. But in the online world, it's more about strategic placement and visual hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Not just being loud and flashy.
Exactly. You don't want to overwhelm users with a bunch of flashing banners. A well-designed CTA fits seamlessly into the overall aesthetic of the page, while still standing out enough to be noticeable. It's a delicate balancing act, kind of like Goldilocks and her porridge. Not too big, not too small, but just right.
I love that analogy. So it's all about finding that sweet spot where it's noticeable but not overwhelming. Okay, so we've talked about the psychology of CTAs and the design, but how do we know if they're actually working? I mean, clicks are one thing, but what about those conversions? The actual desired actions we're aiming for.
Well, that's where the data comes in. Remember we were talking about A/B testing earlier. Businesses use this to track different versions of a CTA to see which one performs best. It's like a science experiment for your website. They might tweak the wording, change the color, even experiment with different placements to see what resonates with users.
So those CTAs we see online aren't just random guesses. They're the result of all this data analysis.
Exactly. It's all about continuous optimization, constantly tweaking and refining to get the best possible results. Think about those sign-up CTAs for email newsletters. Have you ever noticed how they often offer you like a free ebook? Or a discount code to get
Yeah.
you to subscribe.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Like, get your free cheat sheet too,
Mhm.
or unlock exclusive discounts by joining.
Yeah.
I've definitely fallen for that a few times.
See, it's a classic CTA strategy. By offering you something valuable in exchange for your email address, they're making that CTA more enticing and increasing those conversions.
So it's like a little exchange of value, a win-win for both sides. They get your contact info and you get something useful or interesting in return. I'm starting to realize there's a lot more strategy involved in these CTAs
Mhm.
than I ever imagined. Now I'm going to be analyzing every CTA I see.
That's the power of awareness. Now that you understand the mechanics behind them, you can approach CTAs with a more critical eye. Ask yourself, what's the motivation behind this CTA? What psychological triggers are they using? Is this something I actually want or need? These questions can help you make more conscious decisions online.
It's like we've been given a secret decoder ring to understand the language of persuasion. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I'm curious, are there different types of CTAs, each with their own specific purpose?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Just like, we have different tools for different jobs, there are all kinds of CTAs out there, each one designed to get a specific response from us. Think about those read more links you see on like blog posts. They're not trying to sell you anything directly. Their goal is just to like pique your interest and get you to read more of the content.
So it's more about engagement then, building a relationship with the reader rather than going straight for the hard sell.
Exactly. And then you have those CTAs that are more focused on transactions like buy now or add to cart. These are all about capitalizing on that moment when the user is ready to buy and making that checkout process as smooth as possible.
It's kind of like those impulse buys at the checkout counter. You're already there, so why not grab a pack of gum right?
Exactly. It's about tapping into those little micro moments of decision making and nudging people towards that outcome. Then there are CTAs focused on lead generation, things like sign up for our newsletter or download our free ebook. They're trying to capture your contact info, but they give you something valuable in return.
Oh yeah, like those get your free report CTAs.
Right. It's about providing value up front
Yeah.
and building that trust with potential customers. And then there are CTAs that are all about community engagement, things like join the conversation or share your thoughts. These are designed to get people interacting and create a sense of belonging.
So it's like the power of social connection. Makes sense. It sounds like there's a whole world of CTAs out there, each with its own purpose and approach. No wonder it feels like we're constantly being bombarded with them. But now that we know a bit more about the psychology behind them and the design principles that make them work, we can be a bit more savvy about how we navigate the online world, right?
Exactly. We're not just passive recipients of these messages anymore. We can decode them and make more conscious decisions about how we respond. And it's important to remember that not all CTAs are created equal. Some are genuinely helpful, guiding us toward useful resources or experiences. But others can be a bit more manipulative. Using psychological tricks to trigger impulsive actions, it's up to us to be aware of the difference.
So it's like having a superpower,
Yeah.
being able to see through those persuasive tactics.
I like that analogy. And with great power comes great responsibility, right? Now that we know about the power of CTAs, we have a responsibility to ourselves to use this knowledge wisely, both as creators and consumers.
Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of CTAs. We've learned that they're not just buttons or links. They're carefully crafted messages designed to influence our online behavior.
We've uncovered the psychology behind them, the design principles that make them effective, and all the different types of CTAs out there.
And how to decode them and approach them with a more critical eye.
I hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective on those little calls to action we see every day.
Definitely has for me. A big thanks to you for shedding light on this topic. It's something we often overlook, but it's incredibly influential in the digital world.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope this has given you a new understanding of CTAs. Remember, click wisely, click consciously. And until next time, happy exploring.
Yeah, you're right. Just like we have different tools for different jobs, right? There are all these different types of CTAs out there. And each one is kind of designed to get a specific response. Think about those read more links you see, like at the bottom of a blog post or something. They're not trying to sell you anything, at least not directly. Their goal is to get you interested, to pull you in, and make you want to keep reading.
Oh, so it's more about engagement then, like building that relationship with the reader. instead of just going straight for the sale.
Exactly. Then you have those CTAs that are all about the transaction, like buy now or add to cart. Those are designed to capitalize on that moment when someone is ready to buy
Right.
and make that checkout process as smooth as possible.
Yeah, it's kind of like those impulse buys you see at the checkout counter. You're already there, might as well grab a bag of gum, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly like that. It's all about tapping into those micro moments, those little moments of decision making, and nudging people towards that outcome. And then you've got CTAs that are focused on lead generation, like sign up for our newsletter or download our free ebook. They're trying to get your contact information, but they usually offer something valuable in return.
Oh yeah, like those Get Your Free Reports CTAs,
Mm,
the ones that promise to unlock all the secrets of the universe.
exactly. It's about giving something valuable up front, building that trust with potential customers. And then you have those CTAs that are all about community building, like join the conversation or share your thoughts. They want to encourage people to interact, to
Yeah.
create that sense of belonging.
Ah, the power of social connection. Makes sense. Wow, so it really sounds like there's a whole world of CTAs out there, each with its own little purpose and approach. No wonder it feels like we're constantly being bombarded with them. But now that we know a bit more about them, with the psychology and the design principles behind them, we can navigate this digital landscape with a little more awareness, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're not just passive recipients of these messages anymore. We can actually understand them, decode them, and make conscious decisions about how we respond. And it's important to remember that not all CTAs are created equal. Some are genuinely helpful, guiding us toward useful information or experiences. Others are a bit more manipulative, using those psychological tricks to trigger impulsive actions. So it's up to us to be aware of that.
So it's like we've been given this superpower to see through those persuasive tactics.
Exactly. And with great power comes great responsibility. Now that we understand this power of CTAs, we have a responsibility to ourselves
Mm.
to use this knowledge wisely, both as creators and as consumers.
Well said. It's been a really eye-opening deep dive into this world of CTAs. We learned they're not just buttons or links, but these carefully crafted messages designed to influence our online behavior.
We uncovered the psychology behind them, the design principles that make them effective, and all those different types of CTAs out there.
And most importantly, we learned how to decode them and how to approach them with a more critical eye.
I hope you all found this deep dive insightful and that it's given you a new perspective on those little calls to action we see every day.
Absolutely. A big thanks to you for sharing your expertise with us. It's a topic that's often overlooked, but it's so incredibly important in our digital world.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of CTAs. Remember, click wisely, click consciously. And until next time, happy exploring.